Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate Day number 967, November the 24th, 2019, Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, don't forget to get your votes in for this week's Dumbass of the Week in the comments section of this video, preferably by no later than 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Even safer to do it by 8, because usually it's right around 8 o'clock that I do the tally on the votes. Sometimes I'll check back again around 8:30, but usually I'm getting to doing the next video by then. So probably a really safe bet to try to get your vote in by 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on this video for your vote for Dumbass of the Week. Thank you. Now let's go ahead and get to the news of the day. We got a lot. I don't think I'm going to get through it all today, but we'll do our best. Okay, so it looks like it's possible that Cuck the Cuck Schumer may have just outed Lieutenant Colonel Vindman as the whistleblower, or a whistleblower. I think more importantly, he was likely the source for the whistleblower. But Cuck the Cuck sent out a tweet saying the following, quote, "Lieutenant Colonel Vindman and whistleblowers like him are patriots." Not a very smooth move there for Cuck the Cuck. Lieutenant Colonel Vindman and whistleblowers like him. So if you take that sentence just in the way that Cuck the Cuck words it, whistleblowers like him, he would be suggesting that Vindman is a whistleblower. Now, he was, I mean, the fake whistleblower is the fake whistleblower. Vindman would have been the source to the fake whistleblower, which is a little unusual because usually it's the person who discovers it is the whistleblower, in which case Cuck the Cuck would be correct. But here they used a proxy for some reason, and maybe that was Vindman's plan to protect himself, because legitimately it would be tough for him to be the whistleblower because he didn't have any first-hand information. So whatever type of a scam they were trying to run here, it's all unraveling, and I'm sure that this is going to perk up a lot of ears amongst Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee who are going to be looking at this comment and wanting to drill down on that just a bit and see what maybe Cuck the Cuck was talking about. Now, I'm about 90% sure that this hack, Vindman, was the person who leaked the Politico story, and I wish someone would ask him that directly. As far as I know, no one has. And of course, I'm pretty darn sure he was also the source for Sharamella. Now, we know that the FBI had asked the attorney for Sharamella if they could have a conversation with him, and as far as we know, we haven't heard anything on that yet, but as far as we know, that did not happen. I don't know why they're asking. They should just demand it. And maybe now that Cuck the Cuck has sent out this tweet suggesting that Vindman is a whistleblower, maybe now the FBI, the Federal Bureau of I'm With Her, headed up by, of course, Christopher No Shit Sherlock Ray, maybe he will grow a spine and actually go to the whistleblower and say, "Guess what? The FBI, we have some questions for you." That's what they do to all of us. I mean, they swat rated Roger Stone. Now they want to throw him in prison for life for a process crime and for trying to unpack the coup. By the way, that's the real reason. John Solomon is now responding to Vindman. Speaking of Vindman, Vindman told in the hearings when he was being questioned by Lou Zeldin, he said that Solomon was lying about all of his facts. Now, Solomon has put every bit of his documentation on the internet. Anyone can go read it. It's not secret. He puts it all online. You can read it. So, in response, John Solomon has messaged to Vindman a 28-point list and a warning about accusing him of being a liar. And this 28-point list is all the accusations Solomon has made throughout these weeks of reporting, along with links to all the evidence, the documents, which Mr. Vendeman can read for himself if he would like. But something tells me he doesn't need to read that because he knows it's all true. This guy is a total hack. And by the way, I'm surprised that JAG isn't looking into Vendeman, because he is, as he reminds us all, a military officer. Well, if he's a military officer, then leaking a story to the Politico would be a violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And certainly, it looks like he did. It certainly warrants an investigation. And it certainly warrants an investigation whether or not he was a source for Sharamella. And the FBI should be looking into both of those things. And the legal arm, the JAG of the military, should be looking at this as well. Something tells me, when this is all said and done, that Vendeman and Sharamella are going to be held to some extent accountable. Certainly, at the very least, I think they will eventually be outed, and their reputations will certainly be destroyed. And they should never, neither of them should ever work in anything having to do with government ever again. Military, government, intelligence, you name it. They should never be involved ever. No taxpayer dollar should ever go to support either one of these chumps ever again. Getting tired of these people. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. As I didn't actually report on this, I read about it earlier in the week. I just didn't have time to get around to it. But I'm sure many of you also saw some of the stories that were out this past week, that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, over the past 2 weeks, has failed to show up because of illness. And that's very rare for her. She doesn't miss many dates at the Supreme Court, but she has missed several days in the last 2 weeks. And now it's been reported that she has been taken to the hospital. They took her to one hospital, and from there they sent her over to Johns Hopkins. She apparently showed up with chills and fever. Now, when you're 86 years old, a fever can be very dangerous. It can be dangerous to anybody, if you let it, treat it. But when you're 86 years old, you get a bad enough flu or something like that, it can actually, take you out. Now, she is, of course, like I said, 86 years old. She's had quite a few health issues in the recent past. Certainly do not wish anything bad on Ruth Bader Ginsburg at all. I hope she's healthy and doing well, but I really think the woman should, leave the court. It's time. She's 86. She's having a lot of issues. None of this is really helping, and we need to move on. She's not going to be able to stick around until 2024, okay? And that's what she would have to do to avoid being replaced by Trump. Because he's going to win in 2020. And so I understand why she would want to try to stick around until 2020. Maybe she could last till 2020, but she's not going to last till 2024. But I think it's basically time for RBG to pack it in so Trump can replace her with a conservative, originalist, libertarian-minded Supreme Court justice, and probably drive the Democrats into a new level of Trump derangement syndrome, maybe a level that we've never seen before, and I'm still waiting for that because I believe that we haven't seen the very advanced stages of Trump derangement syndrome, but something's going to happen that's going to trigger that, whether it's Ruth Bader Ginsburg finally being gone from the court and having to be replaced by a conservative or originalist judge, whether it's Trump winning re-election, whether it's the deep state players who are involved in the coup being taken in handcuffs or indicted or what have you. There's still more, I think, degrees of sickness that we're going to see in the months to come with this Trump derangement syndrome. And the next major negative event for these people that they won't be able to handle may trigger some symptoms we have not yet observed. Well, we have Rudy Giuliani going on Fox News and saying that they're trying to kill him. He says they're going to try to kill him. But he says he's going to release crime documents. And he says even if, and by the way, these crime documents, which he says show massive pay-for-play schemes, plural, schemes under Obama. And he says, but even if they try and kill him, even if they succeed, he said he has a kill switch. He probably does, knowing Giuliani. We also have Catherine Herridge from Fox reporting that Ciaramella panicked. Ciaramella panicked after he got caught lying on his ICIG complaint. On October 8th, Ciaramella approached the intelligence community to correct his statement after the news broke on October 2nd that he had approached his close friends in Adam Schiff's office before they turned in his whistleblower complaint. So basically, in his original complaint, he lied about meeting with Schiff's staff. And once it came out that he had done that, he needed to go back and modify that and change that. So, more problems. And this ICIG of the intelligence community is bad. He's a bad deal. He's a bad guy. Bad apple. Something going on with this intelligence community, ICIG. Too many irregularities, creating the new form, allowing the old information to be transferred to the new form, allowing secondhand information when it wasn't allowed prior, all that kind of screwy stuff that went on to accommodate Ciaramella. There's just too much cooperation going on here. That dude needs to be tossed out, and I don't know who makes that call, if that's the president's call, if that's Barr's call, Horowitz's call. I don't know whose call it is, but that dude definitely needs to be retired, right along with quite a few other people, including the entire NSC staff at the White House. Giuliani also told Fox that he has evidence that Glenn Simpson of Confusion GPS was in Ukraine in 2016, and that he was involved in the creation of the Steele, it's not the Steele dossier, so-called Steele dossier, and Manafort's Black Book, both of which were frauds and were used to target Trump and Manafort and the Trump campaign in general. Yeah, I would not be the least bit surprised to find that out to be true. It makes perfect sense to me. Obviously, he was in the mix with Alexandria Chalupa, who admits in her own words that she was a connector, an intermediary between these Ukrainian parliamentary members as well as some of Poroshenko's people, as well as this propaganda media outfit that she was hanging around with over in Ukraine. She admits to being an intermediary between them and Izakov and the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC. So it would not surprise me that and in fact Glenn Simpson, she also said Glenn Simpson, Confusion GPS. But I got the impression from that what she meant that she was, providing communication information so that Simpson could talk to people in Ukraine. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to find out that he physically went there. I mean, he was in that whole coup cabal, around these corrupt Ukrainians, Chalupa, Izakov, the whole 9 yards, the Clinton campaign, that whole cabal. He was a part of all of it. So, to find out that he traveled to Ukraine and got personally involved, especially in the Black Ledger, because he had spent so much time back in 2007 digging into Manafort when he was writing those articles with his wife when they were at the Wall Street Journal. Certainly anything that he heard about Paul Manafort would have perked his ears up, and I have no doubt that he would have got on a plane and gone over to Ukraine. And I wouldn't doubt that Nellie Orr may have been with him. We certainly know that she's already admitted that she was getting information from Ukrainians. So none of this would surprise me at all. And I assume when Giuliani says this, he's probably got some first-hand information, either some documents or a witness or something to make that comment. But yeah, I mean, I 100% believe that could be true. So anyway, that's just more damaging information, which I'm sure at some point we'll learn from Durham's investigation. When it's completed, we'll probably find out the full depth and breadth of what Fusion GPS was involved in, and I think it was a lot more than just pushing the dossier. I think there was a lot more going on with them actually writing the dossier. Not just pushing it, but actually being the authors of it, the primary authors of the dossier, Glenn Simpson, Nellie Orr, and a couple of cronies around the Right Reverend Clinton. I think that's primarily who wrote the dossier, along with Mr. Baumgartner. Devin Nunes is preparing to sue the Daily Beast and CNN for claiming that he traveled to Vienna to meet with secret Ukrainians. Devin Nunes traveling to Vienna to meet with secret Ukrainians. I don't think you could keep something like that very secret, to be quite honest with you. So I doubt that is true. I'm about 99% sure it's not. And the fact that Nunes is going to sue the Daily Beast and CNN tells me he's probably got some very hard evidence that can prove where he was at the time when this supposedly happened, and it's probably going to show he was nowhere near Vienna. Now, Vienna's probably, it's not exactly a place you go if you want to keep a low profile. It's where like the world's richest elites go to hobnob. I think Nunes would stick out like a sore thumb in Vienna. While Judicial Watch has received more Strzok page emails that show how the FBI worked with the Rotten Reverend's lawyer, Beth Wilkinson, to help cover up the Rotten Reverend Clinton's crimes. These emails show that General Counsel James Baker was making arrangements to meet with Wilkinson secretly in a skiff so that the press wouldn't be tipped off. Baker was working with McCabe to help cover up the Rotten Reverend Clinton's crimes, along with Peter's Been Stroking Us and Lisa Page, and also FBI agent Jonathan Moffa. The corrupt FBI agents gave Wilkinson a heads up on stories that were going to be coming out in the media. There were conversations between Wilkinson and Baker also suggesting that the missing, or so-called missing, the deleted 60,000 emails may have been on the laptops of Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson, which Strzok and McCabe had in their possession. And of course, it appears from the conversations that Strzok and McCabe really didn't care and weren't interested in looking, but that didn't stop Beth Williamson from letting them know that, there might be some emails there, may or may not be some emails there that were in question. They were certainly going to cover them up. I mean, all we have to do is look at the Wiener laptop. I think all of the emails, all of the Rotten Reverend Clinton's emails are on the Wiener laptop. And the last word I heard on that is that the laptop was given back to Wiener. And they never went through it all. It's never happened, as far as I know. Maybe Durham. Maybe John Durham will go through that Wiener laptop. Pretty sure he'll find all the emails and more. What were there, 855,000? I mean, come on, man. Well, it looks like Elizabeth Warren, chief spreading bull, has been caught in another lie about sending her son to private schools. Now, Elizabeth Warren has 2 kids, and she's out there claiming her kids went to public schools. She's touting public schools, talking about how great public schools are and what she wants to do for public schools. And I don't know why she would come out and tell a lie like this. It's so easy. This is not a hard one to figure out. I mean, Warren has to understand that when you're out there saying things, people are going to fact check them. So now people have fact checked them and found that her son, in fact, did go to a very elite private school. He was in public school until 4th grade. And then in 5th grade, he went to an elite private school. So now she's been caught. And she's having a rough couple of weeks. There's a poll out there. I saw a poll yesterday that shows that she's now dropped to 3rd behind Commie Bernie and Biden. We saw Booty Boy making a move in some other polls earlier in the week, surpassing her. So Warren, I think she's starting to wear a little thin on people. Many already realize she's unelectable. She came out a couple of days ago and said it's time for a national discussion on reparations. On reparations, right? So she takes positions on some of the most unpopular. She takes some of the most unpopular positions on big issues, more than anyone I've ever seen. I don't know what her plan is. Is it possible that she thinks that once she wins, if she would win the Democratic nomination, she's just going to flip the switch and all of a sudden go back on all these things and not think that it isn't going to be brought up by Trump and by the Republicans? And what's even more damaging is that as soon as, if she were to win a nomination, every Democrat in the country would have to get on board to support her, which means that you can tie every single congressional district and every Senate race to her policy outlines, the things she's said that she would do. Open borders, free health care for anyone, free education, free legal assistance, reparations, Medicare for all, $70 trillion, $700 trillion, God knows what the number is. And she gets caught constantly just telling these lies. I just don't see it happening for Chief Spreading Bull, Hiawatha. I do not see Hiawatha getting the nomination unless the Democrats are suicidal. But all of them are as bad as her. I mean, every time you focus on one of these Democrats, you go, this Democrat's so bad they couldn't possibly win. Or if they do, it will be devastating. It'll have to be one of the other ones. But then you go to the next one, Biden, or Commie Bernie, or Buttigieg. Now you go right down the line. Every time you start to dial in on one of them, you find out why they're completely unelectable. And why they would be such a disaster, not just for the country, but for their party. Remember, as soon as the Democrat nominee is named, all the Democrats across the country have to get on board. They automatically inherit the crazy stuff that person said they were going to do. And the whole field is crazy. I mean, this could be a watershed election, man. And we are going to see some things, man. This is going to be one hell of an election season next year. I can't wait for the 2020 general election. I don't know about you, but I'm just ecstatic. It's going to be something for the ages, man. I'm telling you right now. Well, we have a Democrat from New York telling MSNBC that the House will impeach before the end of the year. Good. Trump says he wants that to happen. Now I do. I mean, they've gone this far. And when you look at it, Trump's up 4 to 6 points in the polls, and the Democrats are down. People who supported the impeachment inquiry just a couple of weeks ago, now that's dropped by 6-8 points. So, and it's only going to get worse. And if it ends up over in the Senate, they're going to be calling people like the whistleblower, Adam the Bug-Eyed Fool Schiff, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, Alexandra Chalupa. I mean, can you imagine what a bloodbath that's going to be? Not only that, here's another one for you. The rules of the Senate are that when you have an impeachment trial, all members must be there. All members. If they cannot be there, they have to literally cancel that day and reschedule, because every member of the Senate must be there when they are having a Senate impeachment trial. Now, think about it. 4 of the so-called top-tier Democrats running for president right now are senators. Warren, Booker, legs in the air Harris, Sanders, and Klobuchar I think they're all senators. They're like, that's 5, and I would take out 3 of the top 5 right now, and that means that they would not be able to go out and campaign. They would not be able to go out and raise money. While Trump and Republican opponents would be out there raising money on the fiasco, the Democrats wouldn't even be able to combat that. So, I mean, and if McConnell wanted to, he could drag it out for 2 or 3 months. Just keep bringing in more and more Ukrainian witnesses. Maybe they can unveil the entire coup plot right there in the Senate. Pretty soon people will forget all about what Trump did. They'd be focused in on all these Ukrainians they would be bringing in. There's 3 Ukrainians that are being blocked from even coming into the country because of the information they want to give. Maybe Senator Graham can bring those people into the country, along with Chalupa and the Bidens and all the rest. And bring Vendeman back. I have some more questions for him. Call in the whistleblower, the whole 9 yards, the bug-eyed fool, Pelosi herself. What did she know? I mean, we could have a lot of fun with this, and the entire time force these senators who are the top candidates in the field right now for the Democratic nomination to get off the campaign trail. They couldn't raise money, and they couldn't go out and campaign because they'd be stuck in Washington in the Senate trials. That's exactly what I would do. That would be a very tactical move by Twitch McConnell if he can put it all together. Cocaine Mitch. Paul Sperry asking a very good question, which I think's one we all know the answer to. But Paul Sperry, why did so many Obama NSC officials re-up for assignment at the NSC when they clearly disagreed with Trump's foreign policy? Well, I think we know all about that. Going all the way back to right after the election, when we learned that Obama had set up with Valerie Jarrett at his home there in Washington, D.C., the resistance headquarters, along with the lawfare group, where they began plotting the coup. And I'm sure a big part of plotting the coup involved leaving these, making sure that these Obama people didn't leave, but rather stayed, so that they could leak and lie and participate in the efforts with lawfare working behind the scenes to provide the materials that could be used for the coup, as well as to constantly antagonize Trump and make it very difficult for him to execute the office of president, the resistance. That's the answer to your question, Paul, and thanks for asking. Well, we're now learning that Kevin Kleinsmith, was one of the agents that interrogated Papadopoulos. That's right, who, by the way, is actively now running for Congress out in California. So if you're in the voting district out there of Papadopoulos in California, support him. He's a good man. So there you go. We're also getting a little bit of a kind of the rumor mill that the IG report from Huckleberry Horowitz is likely going to say that Mifsud was not working for the FBI. Mifsud was not working for the FBI. Well, I mean, not directly. You won't find any documents probably as him being an actual paid informant or anything like that. The activities that he was involved in were activities outside the U.S. And that's typically intelligence, CIA. But Mifsud was clearly working for somebody, and he was working with the coup plotters. How you tag them, whether you want to say CIA or FBI or FBI counterintelligence or Italian intelligence or British intelligence or Australian intelligence or this or that. I mean, I really don't give a damn, how official or unofficial his title may have been, or whether he was a paid informant. Or the fact of the matter is, Mifsud shows up too often in too many places where he's involved with key players and key parts of plots. He's associating with people that we know were active, either confidential informants for the FBI or working as informants for the CIA or agent provocateurs or something. So clearly he's too caught up in all these things. And then his disappearance, his strange, hiding out and things like that, and comments he's made and the stuff that has been leaked out from these recordings he's done. And then we got this other thing, I didn't even report on this, about 2 weeks ago. It was being reported that there was some sort of new audio tape that came out where Mifsud's claiming that he wasn't part of the CIA or working for the CIA or any intelligence, and wasn't involved in anything, and this type of thing. So who knows what's going on? But clearly he was involved because he was in contact with key players on both sides. He was in contact with some of the people, Papadopoulos specifically, who was one of the targets, and he's also connected to the individuals who targeted Papadopoulos and Flynn and Carter Page and likely others that we don't even know about or that did not materialize. So clearly he wasn't working for the Russians. We know that. But he was working for somebody, and I don't really give a damn what the tag or title is, and I don't care if it was official or unofficial, paid or unpaid. He was involved in the plot. He needs to come clean. He needs to come clean. If he's not involved in any of this, then why is he hiding? Now, he gives the impression that it's not his choice, that it's Italian intelligence. Well, in this case, we're learning Secret Service, Italian Secret Service, the number 2 man in the Italian Secret Service, who's apparently the one who's been handling him or whatever. But we also had a report yesterday, again, kind of rumor mill report, that Halper was Mifsud's handler. So he's caught up with all these people, and to believe otherwise is just nonsense. And if I'm wrong, then Mr. Mifsud, there's no reason to be hiding. If you're not involved in anything, if you're not part of anything or whatever, then you could certainly get a public statement out there. You could do a press conference. You could ask for protection. There's a lot of things you could do. If you're not a part of anything, just come out and tell us what you did or didn't do, why you were involved with all these people who we know are involved, who are FBI, CIA, and various other things, and how you ended up being in this whole play, unless you're going to claim that you're somehow got duped as well. Now, maybe that's Mifsud's plan, is to sit back and play dumb and go, I got duped into it. I didn't know what was going on. They played me too. Hey, they played me just like they played Papadopoulos. Maybe everybody in this whole thing's going to say we got played. The FBI's, hey, we got played by the CIA, by Brennan. The CIA, hey, we got played by British intelligence. Hey, we got played by this guy. We got played by this guy. Yeah, maybe they're all going to point the finger at each other and say, yeah, we got duped. Well, they're all pretty damn stupid, but they're not that stupid. And neither are we. And I'm sure Mr. Durham is not that stupid. Speaking of stupid, here's Michael Moore saying that Americans agree with him and Bernie Sanders on all the issues. Well, like I was talking about earlier with the Trump derangement syndrome, we don't know how bad Trump derangement syndrome gets, because I don't know that we've seen all the symptoms and all the effects of Trump derangement syndrome, but clearly one of them is it sort of deteriorates your brain to where you're simply not able to think logically. Now, I know that Michael Moore exists and only lives in an echo chamber and only kind of associates with people who think like he does in an echo chamber, but you have to be a complete freaking moron to think that Americans agree with Commie Bernie and him on all the issues. Yeah, he's nuts. No, I don't think so. So, yeah, Michael Moore may be one of those people that hits some very advanced stage of Trump derangement syndrome, and we may see what the, full-scale effects, the potential is for, completely going nuts. I mean, like rubber room, like having to be taken away in in one of those crazy vans, or maybe, who knows what someone would do when they reach the final stages of Trump derangement syndrome. We don't know how bad it gets, but I can tell you it's getting worse. Interesting that the Right Reverend Clinton has been silent about after the testimony of Fiona Hill, when Fiona Hill admitted in her testimony that the Right Reverend Clinton's questioning of the 2016 election helps Putin. I caught that, and I was expecting the Right Reverend Clinton to tweet on it. She has not. She's had nothing to say about that. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. See you guys. Bye.